if you can see me streaming, do let me know, and then I can go ahead. Okay, now I do seem to be live. Okay, now just check out this looks okay on Twitch, given how weird all that was, and to be live. Yep, now we're gonna get some weird echo maybe. But that appears to be me. Marina's looking a little squashed. Let's fix the resolution here. Better? Much better. All right. Let's play some Historic. Okay, nice solid hand. I like Archon here. And no pressure on us, so let's see if we can prince into some nice enchantments. Omen of the Sea is perfect. Exactly what I wanted to see. And because we already have the Yorion in hand, there's no pressure to wait to play this until after Archon comes down. Just jam it whenever. Guess we could get Blacklance Paragon. We are getting Blacklance Paragon. Is that going to block the Prince? I mean, if they're playing it, I assume they're playing it to block the Prince, which is fine. Like, obviously this means I can't loop it with Yorion anymore, but I'm like, kinda okay with my opponent just trading their 2-drop for my 2-drop, which also scryed. Some kind of flashy 3-drop. They might just be holding up Murderous Rider. It actually feels a lot like they're holding up Murderous Rider, so I think I'm gonna... Did I take both of these? Thought Eraser's not bad. I guess Oath of Kaya... My plan, I guess, is to Thought Erasure the removal spell, then play Archon, then play Oath of Kaya. Not hitting a 5th land for a little while here, if that's the plan, though. But I think it's fine. Let's see bottoming Oath there. I think to Surveil off of Thought Erasure is pretty good. So it means I can look for that 5th land. Let's see what we're hiding. Okay, so opponent's doing the Phyrexian Obliterator thing. Couple of Gray Merchants, but because we can just deputize the Obliterator, I don't care that much about the Gray Merchants. So I think I'm just taking Murderous Rider because that's the thing that messes up Archon of Sun's Grace, and the rest of this I don't care that much about. Could also take Obliterator and make their Gray Merchants much, much worse. I guess with Oath of Kai, I don't actually need Archon to get a ton of value here. Let's just take the Obliterator. And I'll mill this Thought Erasure. Not so much because I need a land next turn, but because I need one probably 2 turns from now. Okay, well, it's just hanging out, which is fine by me. I guess I could just jam Oath of Kaya and hit them and see if they're going to do anything. I actually don't mind this. I have several Yorions coming down this game. Like, are you going to play a Gray Merchant for 2? They're playing a Gray Merchant for 2. Sure. Let me duplicate my own permanents. But it can't. Alright, let's go with just start with Yorion. Got another one. No real rush to I see we even have some viewers in the stream, which is great. It implies the stream's actually functional. Hello, whoever you are. Had a lot of trouble earlier actually getting this to work, but I think we're back to good. And bottoming both of these, neither of these is going to let me cast Yorion next turn. Another Omen of the Sea is fantastic, because it means next turn I can go Archon into Omen. Curious to see if this Yorion just dies. Yep. Opponent trying to play the mid-range game against me is not going to have a good time, though. So they could have another removal spell in hand. That's one way they could stay in the game. Guess there's no reason to play the Omen out yet. It'll be pretty obvious that I have it if I don't bring out Yorion now. I guess I could also just put Yorion in my hand if they kill Archon next turn, then I just get to play Yorion, Blink, Omen, and Oath. And another Omen. So yeah, if they kill Archon, it's not really a big deal. And if they don't kill Archon, they're absolutely screwed. Alright, Aetherborn into Grey Merchant. So I'm going to lose 8, but my opponent can't attack, so it doesn't really matter how much Grey Merchanting you're doing to me. The next Grey Merchant is 10, and I also won't care about that. Huh. Campaign's probably a little redundant, but I'll take the other Yorion. So those of you who are watching, are you seeing something that actually looks like a relatively smooth Magic stream? Because of all the errors I was encountering earlier, I really don't know what's going on with this now. Yeah, lately I've definitely been questioning a lot whether I should be doing Archon of Sun's Grace or Atris in the 4 slot. Hey Benetti, thanks for letting me know. It's hard to really tell how much kind of more grindy mid-range slash sort of combo decks I'd still want Atris most of the time over Archon. Archon's just really nice at killing planeswalkers, and I don't know. It's a tough decision. Okay, I are into Obliterator, so the next Grey Merchant would be kind of scary, except I'm gaining 11 life next turn. Yeah, no, this game is completely over. Opponent can't really touch me. Do I swing with all the Pegasi? I suppose I might as well. I'm not really scared of counterattacks. That's some kind of combo where they could, like, deal a bunch of damage to this Obliterator, maybe I'd be worried. Well, Snow Monkey, this is definitely a place for people with low standards, so you are welcome here. We appreciate you. Where am I going? I think this is just tough bounce Yorion. Opponent doesn't need to know about the other Yorion yet. And I don't really need to draw cards off this campaign. One note is that I swapped out the first game of the stream that turned out to be that turned out not to actually register on Twitch. I was playing against Mono Green and realized that the deck had exactly 0 answers for Stonecoil Serpent, so I made some changes to the sideboard, add a bunch of Baffling Ends, and some Eliminates to the main deck over the old Heartless Acts. Stonecoil Serpent, and especially Scavenging Ooze, well, not especially Scavenging Ooze, both of those cards are cards where it's just nice to have Eliminate. I've been turned around to that way of seeing things, so I'm a little confused about what's going on here. Do I want Time Wipe? Time Wipe is another answer to Obliterator. I guess Eliminate's not that good. Eliminate's good for like keeping Devotion off the board, but given the amount of discard I have, I think just discarding the Grey Merchants seems like a better way of going about things. Deputy is a little sketchy, given how much removal they have. It is really nice in combination with Time Wipe, of course. I think I'm going to end up keeping things almost exactly the same. Something I'm slightly worried about is like Phyrexian Arena. But I'm not that worried about Phyrexian Arena. It's not that good a card. Let's try making that swap. It does feel weird having 2 Veto and 2 Dispute in the sideboard. That probably isn't right. There really aren't any blue control decks in this format. The highest echelon. But having 0 counters in the sideboard feels like it can't be right either. Just don't know what the right solution to that is. Maybe just a pile of Ether Gusts for goblins and so on. Nope. Gosh, is this a hand? Does this count as a hand? I can kill any number of, like, gifted Aetherborns, but I feel like 3 Eliminates just doesn't work as a hand. I guess I can kill Iara, too? I guess I'm bottoming one of the Eliminates anyway, so sure. Weird hand, though. It's Spoojum, do you mean in Historic or Standard? Have you been playing Historic or Standard, that is? I'm curious. Ooh, Knight of the Ebon Legion. Delicious. Delicious. Love seeing that. So this gives me an eliminate target, which is fantastic. Play Gifted Aetherborn now, opponent. They didn't. That's too bad. Alright, and Teferi's great. Teferi gives me some stuff to look forward to. Rotting Regisaur, Liliana Standard Bearer. I guess it's the Standard Bearer, and then they just play Regisaur and they discard a card from their hand, and then I kill the Regisaur. Yeah, Spooj, I'm probably no Standard Clover. I'm kind of, given that Reclamation is the most popular deck in Standard right now, I'm kind of off of Standard until rotation type things happen. It's just perfectly fun to play Clover against lots of decks in that format, but I'm about ready for a change. I also have just like a lot of reasons to want to be practicing Historic. Okay, so we kept this eliminate until their combat phase in case they drew Demonic Embrace or something. Or decided maybe to play a creature pre-combat instead of pumping the knight, something like that. Okay, whatever they drew wasn't a land, so I could go with... I just want a Disinformation campaign while I know I'm hitting a spell off of it. I guess Agonizing Remorse also... Yeah, okay, they drew a land. Yeah. Sheer number of discard spells here is a little awkward, but the opponent's deck also does a bunch of 4 and 5 drops. Now they've got Castle Lochthwain out, so I imagine we'll find some stuff to do with these. Or they'll just try and kill me. That's also fine. Good evening began. So I hit a land, which is great because it means I just get to go Tef, bounce this knight, and then pluck it right out of their sweet little hand and bounce Disinformation campaign back to my hand at the same time. I'll keep Omen. It's great. So, like, Phyrexian Obliterator off the top could be a little tricky since I don't have an answer for that at the moment. Ooh, Spawn of Mayhem, also a good way to get around Eliminate. Not bad, not bad. So I guess I'm gonna just Omen of the Sea, see what I can find. Put Yorion in hand if I don't hit something relevant against the spawn. Ooh, hit a Teferi. That's good. Well, I'll do that instead. Just keep the cards flowing. This means if the opponent draws another spell, I get to take something out of their hand. Oath of Kaya? Meh. Not outstanding, not terrible. It does mean that the opponent has a little more trouble taking Tef off the board. So I could go Campaign Yorion or Oath Yorion. I guess given that I want to gain some life here, it should just be Oath Yorion. If the opponent, I guess, draws exactly a discard spell, I'll end up feeling a little bit silly. But let's assume they're not going to top deck a card that discards Yorion, and that we just get to play it and win next turn. Eliminate. Alright, so they don't have to go after Tef with this spawn. But next turn it's still not going to be big enough to actually fight Yorion. Ooh, Emmy at the 8th land, which means I get to go Campaign Yorion. Draw an extra 2 cards. What I'm looking for right now is chiefly other Yorions, also Charming Princes, also Elspeth Conquers Death, that sort of thing. Stack the campaign first, so that I take the draw I have more control over after I have more information. ECD is nice. ECD and Omen this year, both nice. I think I'll just take both of these. Hard to see how my opponent gets out of this here, given they can't attack with spawn this turn unless they draw a removal for Yorion. I guess Castle Lochthwain being active gives them some number of options. Being eliminated was also super weird. So, what are the odds they hit something I can remorse? Let's find out. Let's plop a Regisaur out of the graveyard. Some risk in doing that versus Omen of the Sea, but I felt like it was likely enough that we'd hit a window. It's like, this is the play that is good in the worst case scenario, which is if they drew a spell, whereas if they drew a land off of the Lochthwain, I didn't really care about what they were doing either anyway. I guess attacking with Yorion here is somewhat risky if in case they have a Rankle in their deck. That's something to think about, but they're also at 7, so I think just getting them dead sooner or activating a Castle Locthwain. I think just getting them dead sooner is important. Hey Tammy, yeah, I'm back. I don't know what was going on with the stream before. It just it looked like it created 2 minutes of content and then farted out before anybody was even notified to the stream's existence. But it kept being live on Stream Decker, so I talked to an audience of 0 people for 10 minutes, assuming I was going to make a video later before I gradually realized that no one was coming. For a little while, I thought everybody just had stopped liking me. It's a little bit like a dream that I have, not infrequently. What if you streamed and nobody showed up? Alright, anyway, that felt good. That was I don't think this mono black deck is good at all, but glad we at least beat it. Seems like it's an, I guess Grey Merchant of Asphodel is a way you can beat Field of the Dead, maybe, but feels like everything goes over the top of you, even like goblins. Well, I guess Obliterator's nice against goblins. Panther Reloaded, what makes you think I have pants right now? Ooh, Mystmin. Alright. We're playing against the famous, the one, the only. Looks like he's not on Kahira Esper Control, which I think was the thing Mystmin was doing in Historic for maybe a little while. Awfully curious to see what's going on now. That's true, but I am sitting in a chair.
You need to become Aaron Girdler tonight, chat. That's the goal.
Non-transparent back. Okay. Best thing possible is seeing a tapped Water Grave on turn 1. Love that. Okay, so Mystmin's on Esper Control but doesn't have Yorions. Has several copies of Thought Erasure. What am I doing about that? I don't care about the Languish. I think I just take one of the walkers. Which walker is it going to be? I think it's just got to be the Hero of Dominaria here. Mystmin certainly is the ultimate Gandalf. I like Omen of the Sun as a way to control a Tef 3 if Mystmin happens to find one. And we may want to be extra careful when we put Yorion in hand, since this is going to be a deck with a bunch of discard. Chooses to mill a Tef 3, interesting. Agonizing Remorse actually seems much better than whatever I was going to do otherwise. Let's take something out of this hand. A Tef 3, okay. Is it just this? If I take Languish, then... Yeah, I'm just taking Tef out here. Languish being a counter spell against Arcana Sun's Race is awkward. It definitely... This is an example of a matchup where I'd much rather have Atris in hand. Also a matchup where Disinformation Campaign is extremely good. Good to know, Tammy. That'll help me, evaluate the risk of this option. Mystmin notably only has 3 revealed lands total here, so Ashiok may not be coming out on curve. If it does, it's kind of a nightmare. No pun intended. Mind Stone, I love that. Love Mind Stone. Mind Stone is so cool. Oh, Narset's also really cool. That's an extremely good draw. Find me some action, please. Lots of action. I'm just going to take... I think it's easy Elspeth Conqueror's Death, just to have an answer to the Ashiok in case that comes down. Yeah, Narset was a really good top deck. Mystmin's staring at my graveyard. Okay, so it does have the lands to cast Ashiok. Narset whiffs, a little disappointing, but let's cast Archon of Sun's Grace. Could eat a Languish, but fine if it does. Fine if it does. Ashiok doesn't really worry me. I guess Ashiok comes down and bounces it. I then just discard it, and then I ECD the Ashiok. Mystmin would need to find a third Thought Erasure or an Agonizing Remorse for me to really start to be worried. But still easily anyone's game. Mystmin Sleeves. Ooh, what is this? I just have no idea what the theme of this is or whatever, but they are real cool looking. I should probably sleeve this deck. It's only polite. Don't remind me after the match that I should sleeve this up, if y'all don't mind. Mystmin sitting there and having a big old Mystmin think. Yeah, I had to check for a second to make sure that Ashiok has to pick a target. It does have to pick a target. He just goes for it. Okay, yep, Archon, interesting, is gone. ECD is getting back Deputy Retention right now, which is not the most impressive thing to be getting back, but Omen of the Sea is fantastic. So it gives me something to do next turn to go like Omen, put Yorion in hand, force Mystmin to have a discard spell. If Mystmin finds like a Tef, that's bad. Kaya's fine. Kaya means ECD's not doing much, but in general just is really not useful against my deck. And Mystmin shows that there are no Thought Erasures there. So let us do this thing. Do I want lands? I guess not really. I'll draw some eventually. I don't really need them though. ECD again is cool, so I'll put Yorion in hand. Worst case, if Mystmin can Thought Erasure Yorion, I just ECD the Kaya, and then I'm threatening to get Yorion back in a couple turns. So if Time Raveler costs 5 and cannot draw cards, so that's fine. I guess there is a question of whether I should ECD one of these Planeswalkers first, that Yorion can come in and ECD the other one. That actually seems reasonable. Let's ECD Kaya. F still can't draw cards. And ECD still gets back Yorion if my opponent discards it. Okay, Narset's a strong play. Narset's a strong play. Needs to have a Thought Erasure, though, or some way to counter Yorion. Mystmin is playing a 60-card deck, so it's not unlikely that this Thought Erasure comes up. I mean, it is less than 50% odds, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it. Shark Typhoon, that's fine. Shark Typhoon is not a card that really bothers me. Lightning Bolt Secret Lair Art, that's what it is. Master Shake, yeah, there was some consideration of holding land last turn for, I guess, Ashiok exactly. So that was the thing I thought about. Alright, so yeah. I'm just going to ECD the Narset here, right? Yeah, so Tef can't actually draw a card. Mystmin can Shark Typhoon for 1. I don't especially care about that. It does mean Narset gets attacked down, but I have another Narset that Mystmin doesn't know about. I am playing the land here just because also if Mystmin attacks Narset, ECD gets her back. So Mystmin might not even want to do that. Play it out the land there because if I draw another land, I might end up wanting to play Narset and Yorion the same turn. Looks like Mystmin found nothing useful and decided this game was going nowhere, and I agree. Okay, so I don't think Mystmin's gonna like try and juke me and do anything too fancy. I'm gonna cut these Archons, gonna cut the Deputies, which don't seem... Actually, Eliminate kills a lot of Mystmin's Planeswalkers, so seems useful even though it's gonna be card disadvantage most of the time. Deputy seems pretty bad, just given the amount of removal I expect Mystmin to have. I guess we'll end up getting to see whether Mystmin... I guess Deputy's nice against Shark tokens is one thing it does pretty well. Horrible against Planeswalkers, but good against Shark tokens. And yet, I feel like by the time we get to the point in the game where Sharks are like big enough to bother me, we're hopefully in pretty good shape anyway. Eliminate also kills Shark tokens. Really, Patrick? That's nice. I didn't know I was one of your 2 favorites. I'll try this. It may turn out to be the case that if Mystmin like seems to have boarded out a bunch of languishes, I might go back onto the Archon plan for game 3. Might even play some Deputies. Deputies pretty reasonable if it never gets killed. Alright, this hand's solid. I've got a counterspell for a Planeswalker, so I can hit Teferi on curve. If Mystmin has a Thought Erasure, he's probably forced to take Veto, and then Oath of Kaya does a reasonable job of fighting like Narset, which is by far the scariest Planeswalker Mystmin can come up with. The card I want to draw most in this matchup might just be Disinformation Campaign. And the card I least want to draw more in this matchup is more lands. Mindstone, alright, that's not Thought Erasure, which is really cool. Eliminate, it may have some useful targets later. I want to be a little careful with what I'm actually... Alright, well, never mind. I was going to say maybe careful with what I counter, but gotta counter Tef. Them's the rules. If this one has like an early Tef or Ashiok, which may be what the Mind Stones are for, things could get pretty awkward. I'm just going to put Yorion in hand this turn to give Mystmin something to think about. Sure, it could get Thought Erasure, but that's fine. There's Tef. Alright, so this is the Mystmin plan, I guess, is just do quick, expensive walkers. So I have some options. So my options this turn are basically play Oath of Kaya, hit Tef. This threatens putting Yorion to play, bouncing Oath of Kaya and hitting Tef, which means that if Mystmin has a Thought Erasure, it's got to, it can't stop me from getting rid of Tef. The other option is just to Thought Erasure Mystmin and try to take a counterspell, hoping that he won't have another counterspell for when I play ECD on the Tef. Huh. I think I'm slightly more interested in the Thought Erasure play. Might as well play a land first. I have no idea what Mystmin's assortment of counterspells looks like. Maybe there's a friggin' Spell Pierce in there because he's just a maniac. Alright, bunch of Planeswalkers I don't care about. The Elder Spell is a good one to know about. Yep, just going to take the Time Raveler, keep a campaign, and then hopefully no Thought Erasure next turn. In the next two cards, or Dovin's Vetoes, I guess.
We need to become Aaron Girdler tonight, chat. That's the goal.
I guess Mystmin could just play another Tef and draw another card and have all the lands untapped. Sacks Mindstone. That's an interesting play. I guess he's really digging for something to stop an ECD on curve, which would make sense. Alright, let's see if you found a counter somewhere in those cards. He did, I'm in trouble. Teferi is definitely really good against me when it gets to come down. Castle Ardenvale just makes a token immediately. You'll love to see it. Get this thing out of here, please. Follow up. If he follows up with one, I just get to play Yorion, blink it. And we're eating threats. Yeah, Ansky, I don't know what happened. Stream just wasn't recording. I just noticed that no one had showed up after about 10 minutes. What's this going to be? Kaya?
We need to become really, Aaron Girdler tonight, chat. That's the goal.
Doing some work with this land tapping business. So Mystmin knows I have a Tef in hand, which means that if he doesn't have a counterspell for Yorion, he's understandably reluctant to play out a Tef. But if he doesn't play out a Tef, my next turn is just Disinformation Campaign Oath of Kaya. He also really can't counter Yorion next turn because of that ECD going off, which means that Tef untapping 2 lands isn't so meaningful. Cycles Raugan Triome. That is some cool stuff. I am honestly, Mystmin is dedicated to not letting me do, like, the obvious powerful stuff into him. I can dig that. Let's go on campaign. Tef seems like a pretty reasonable thing. If I could go Tef, bounce campaign, I could Oath of Kaya the token, I could play Omen of the Sun. Yeah, Tef coming back down is a little annoying, frankly. Actually, no, this is just going to be... This is pretty easy. This is just Tef, bounce back, the ECD, and make that my turn. Mystmin's Tef still costs 7 mana, so if he plays Tef, it's just going to get ECD'd, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Yep, Mystmin certainly is a super grinder. So if Mystmin has a veto and plays Tef out, that could be tough. Didn't have one earlier, has hit a couple draw steps. Duress, okay, losing ECD, so trying to set up Tef to do some fancy stuff. I think this is just going to be my Omen Oath turn. So we go Oath, smack the token, whatever. Hope we don't get Thought Erasured. If Yorion gets Thought Erasured here, we're going to be in a spot of difficulty. The Eliminate has been really bad. But if Yorion resolves, I get to go... I shouldn't have played that in response. There wasn't really any reason to do that. If the Yorion resolves, a lot of good things happen. Wow. I guess Mystmin just wasn't finding counters or Thought Erasures. That hand just didn't work out at all. I'll take it, though. I'll take it. That's Yorion. Like, I had a free 8th card that game, and it was easily going to generate, you know, a lot of card advantage. Yeah, man, there wasn't so much about tough turning off instance as it was like, when am I going to play this thing if not now? But of course, I should still be trying to be a good player, especially against somebody like Mystmin. Just regular old Esper Control. But hey, top 1000. Yeah, I tried watching a Mystmin stream once, and it was like a little too weird. Like, just Mystmin talking was strange to me. Ooh, This is close. Between just draw steps and print scrying 2, I'm almost certainly going to be able to start casting discard spells on turn 3. I've got a good amount of anti-aggro here. I think I keep this. It's close. I think Deputy should probably just be a sideboard card also. This is great against Field of the Dead, but pretty bad everywhere else. In which case, maybe I can bring some Atresses back. Alright, looks like field stuff. I can at least stop a Golos if I can hit Agonizing Remorse here. Oh, this also could just be Wilderness Reclamation. In which case the Remorse is also going to come in handy, but I do need a black source off this print. Sitting 2 more white-blue lands. Oof. Oof. Was not great. No Reclamation yet. Hit Yorion. How likely is it that I'm about to run Charming Prince into a Shark Typhoon? Seems not unlikely. I feel like this attack is probably not worth doing. Yikes. Yeah, it was really... So I had to hit, what, a black source in my first... Missed on 6 draw steps there, which seems a little bit unlikely. I wonder if I'm running too many basics in the deck. I'm not sure I actually have my full complement of 24 shocks plus checks. I'll have to check on that afterwards. Okay, Reclamation. So we'll go Omen. We have a Deputy, which could potentially take out Reclamation. I wouldn't expect it to stick, but maybe? Playing with 2 tokens here, see if I can scare a Shark Typhoon out of the opponent. Give me free reign to Deputy them. I can tell they want to. They did want to. Great. So then I have the question of whether I jam Remorse or just Deputy the Reclamation. I think it's Remorse this turn. That way I can go Remorse plus Deputy next turn. Okay, we're going to be taking away this one. Thanks. So opponent's got an Aether Gust, which has no text against my deck, which is great. Mystical Dispute has text, but I can discard that. So this is actually a pretty reasonable situation, depending on what they draw, of course, but I don't hate where this is going. And also, thanks, Mr. August. I hadn't said that before, but thank you. And thanks for the follows, Longhorn Legend, Mr. Rotten, Christopher Twitchins. I hadn't been seeing these come in, but I just checked, and I'm really glad to have you all following the stream. Okay, opponent's doing very little over there, so we're going to go... Actually, this should probably just be Remorse the opponent. Let's do this. Shock that in, Remorse the opponent. And then if I just Deputy the Shark, I can blink Deputy next turn, Aether Reclamation, which gives them like a 1-turn window to find something. Yeah, so I just take Dispute. Deputy eats a Shark. Worth noting the Deputy's not going to hold Reclamation permanently because the opponent has a Blast Zone. I guess the opponent tilts the Blast Zone to 3. Yorion doesn't really do a lot next turn. But it's still a 4/5 flyer. I'm just going to have 7 power and play against an opponent who's going to be on 14, or who I guess will next turn be on 11 if they pop the Blaststone.
We need to become Aaron Girdler.
You know, thanks for the follow.
That's the goal.
Okay, Zone 3, no surprises there. Opponent does not seem to have drawn anything useful. That's an Archon of Sun's Grace. Okay. I'm going to swing with these two. If the opponent has a Shark Typhoon, they're welcome to try throwing it out so that I can actually get a blink off and make 2 more tokens. Pretty sure this is just Archon of Sun's Grace, honestly. Just get a better clock down. I don't know, it's tricky. I mean, I'm going to die if they have Expansion Explosion here at some point. And they are very good at cantripping, so we're not in the woods. We don't have a ton of pressure. Atris would probably have been better than Archon here. Being able to Agonize and worse the Wilderness Reclamation. Alright, I guess they just came up on blanks. A lot of people conceding pretty early today. Okay, so sideboarding here is pretty straightforward. I'm just going to cut probably all the Oaths of Kaya. I guess Omen of the Sun's also a potential cut. Let's see. So maybe it's like 3rd Archon cut. Oath, Oath. Eliminate. It's pretty weak here. Oath can at least kill small sharks. Let's just do that. I guess Eliminate can kill Uro, which is also pretty nice. But if I want something to kill Uro and sharks, Baffling End is just better than Eliminate, I think, because you can blink it with Yorion, do stuff like that. So let's maybe put in a couple Baffling End, cut. Huh. Omens or Oaths, Omens or Oaths, Omens or Oaths. Omens. Okay, yeah, the clock does matter a little bit, but I think just being able to counter all their threats seems like a pretty big deal. Like having or not having the answer to a 5/5 shark seems like it's going to matter a lot more in the average game than like a couple tokens. Snow Monkey, I mean, I'm trying to, yeah, oh yeah, that's a reasonable explanation for that. And Master Shake, you may have been right that not hitting Reclamation was greedy. I wouldn't say that's impossible. I think I just keep this. A discard spell on turn 2 is really good against a mulligan. And Omen helps me filter so I don't flood too much. Check the mana base after this game. I want to drop down to 36 lands. Right now I'm 37, and it's been feeling a little high in some of these games. Also, in the historic format, I suddenly find myself with just more stuff I want to stuff into this deck. Well, I guess all the cards I'm doing that with are still standard legal. One of the big decisions I'm trying to make right now is which 4-drop I should be playing between Atris and... ooh, Tef's great, Tef's great. Between Atris and... Okay, what am I taking? I guess it's just Negate. Let's resolve a Tef, probably. Yeah, Atris versus Archon of Sun's Grace. Atris better sometimes, Archon better sometimes, and whenever I'm playing against a deck now, I try to think, is this more of an Atris matchup or an Archon matchup? And genuinely not sure. Not sure about this one. Probably Atris. Probably Atris. But they don't have the easiest time removing Archon. Okay, opponent's holding up potentially Mystical Dispute. Not shocking to play Growth Spiral, makes me think it is very likely Mystical Dispute, but like, can't really play around that too much. I could put Yorion in my hand this turn. But they only have 2 unknowns. Oh, they only have 1 green source. Never mind, they had 1 green source. Okay. So this wasn't foretelling a dispute, but it looks like they have one anyway. Alright, they found one anyway. Not bad, not bad. long as they don't find a Reclamation as well. Darn it! Okay, that's going to make things more annoying. As are the constant lands. Atris versus Archon, that's right, Monkey. Alright, Elspeth Conqueror's Death is great, so the opponent found the perfect 2 cards off of their draw step there, and that they got Mystical Dispute plus Wilderness Reclamation. All I'm hoping is they don't have Expansion Explosion for next turn, so that I can ECD this Reclamation and get Tef into play. Okay, so that was a Shark Typhoon, that's fine. It's not threatening me really much. Even Expansion Explosion is not the end of the world. Be bad, but okay. Growth Spiral's fine. We took a negate already. They could have a dispute. They're holding up mana like they have a dispute. Nope. Okay, great. I mean, I guess they'll have dispute mana up anyway, but down to 1 card. There's Veto. That's helpful for later. Okay, here goes. Come on, not a negate, not a negate, not a negate, not a negate. Got Blast Zone up at all times. This isn't necessarily a counter. Oof. Alright. This is still kind of okay. They have 1/2/2 Shark. I mean, I need them not to find another Shark right away. Opponent's draws have been absolutely stunning this game. But I guess every other card cantrips, so that's the way it goes. They're pausing and thinking about their lands. That's okay, it was nothing. Cool. Cool. Alright, Deputy's really nice. Deputy's really nice. So Blast Zone can of course kill Deputy. Question is whether I try to Deputy the Reclamation now. I mean, I do, right? Yeah, this turn's going to be Deputy, put Yorion in my hand, and then the next turn will be Yorion, hold up Veto, and try to control the game from there. So we'll just Deputize the Reclamation. This time, I'm just going to take the Reclamation away from them. Not going to bother going after the Shark since I have a 4/5 about to come down. I would expect to see this tick up to 3. This also means that Yorion is protected from a 3rd dispute. Expansion Explosion would be big enough to kill Deputy, so it'd be disappointing if they found one. And I guess they are about due, but it's just a land. ECD is superb, just absolutely superb. Let's just hit them with this Deputy. We now have Yorion, we're holding up Veto, we get to ECD the Reclamation. Next turn, our draw wound up working out very well too, so credit to us for that. If they let me target Deputy, I will give them back Wilderness Reclamation this turn. I would kind of expect them not to let me do that, though. Yeah. So Tefs and Narsets are both great here. Not sure what else we want exactly. Yeah, I'll take all of those. So the opponent has been playing all their lands, so I'll put Omen into my hand for this turn. If they just play a land, I'll just Omen at the end of this turn. Got one more Deputy. I guess ECD also brings back Deputy, which means I can kill... Huh. I guess I just allow this. Could veto it to guarantee that I know they have nothing, but be comfortable. Alright, let's see. Is this a big Shark or a big Expansion Explosion? Big Expansion Explosion, I should just win the game. Nope, just holding up mana. Makes sense, makes sense. Okay. So, probably not a Shark. I imagine they would have made it bigger. I guess I could have played around Dispute by just playing the land out, and I should have done that. But this is pretty sweet, too. Boy, I do love beating the absolute crap out of Team Reclamation. That feels good. Expansion Explosion doesn't actually kill Yorion, which is nice. And this is the stage of the game where we're about one Charming Prince away from just running away with things. I'll start with Omen so that I can set up Narset to draw me a card for sure, if things work out that way. Okay, trips land. Sure. We are getting a Tef off the ECD next turn. Alright, easy veto. That's a nice one. And I'll just guard Narset with Yorion this turn. Seems more important than dealing 4 damage. Here to watch me slaughter Wilderness Reclamation?
I've been watching. I have to go rescue her. I was like, no.
Oh, darn. I totally left that. Thanks. Alright. Opponent's down. I left the recycling bin outside, but Tammy rescued it. Snow Monkey says hi. Oh, I guess you're on Twitch on your phone. I forget you can do Twitch on phones sometimes. Okay, well that was Wilderness Reclamation down. I hear that's a deck that some people think will be pretty good in Historic. Well, that was a good start. Let's keep going. Bird is the word. Thanks for covering for me, Tammy. I always count on you to lie to the stream for the good of everyone. Sleeves! Ah, darn. Snow Monkey, you did a great job reminding me, and I was just so excited to play another match with this deck. You'll catch me one of these days. Okay, high-ranking player. Very curious to see what this is, if it's one of the big 4 or something else. Big 4 being goblins, some sack decks, Kethis combo, and field. Hand's great, needs some lands. Charming Prince can help with that, though. One of his many virtues. I love this card so much. This is my favorite white card. This might have overtaken Thraben Inspector as my favorite white card. That's the plan, Weed. That's the plan. I mean, not for today. Alright, looks like it's probably red-black sack. Ooh, Fiend Artisan. That's not one you always see. So a bunch of cards dumped in the yard. None of them are cats, thank goodness. But if they do have a Fiend Artisan, the Fiend Artisan is going to be very large. Priest, alrighty. And what am I princing for? I think I'm still scrying. I still really do want to be hitting some land drops here, including if I hit like a pain-free land that's worth a lot to me. Autumn Mist, do I keep the Triome? I actually don't think I do. I think hitting untapped lands is kind of a big deal. Or like an Oath of Kaya or an Eliminate or an Omen of the Sun. All those would be better than that Triome here, I think. Starts a little slow and clunky. And I will say that pre-board we're a little bit more prepared for controlling decks than we are aggro. It's a choice I've made, but maybe the wrong choice in Historic. It's one of the things I'm trying to figure out by testing this deck. Broxa. Here's a card I have a hard time getting rid of. What am I getting rid of here? Probably just Narset? Narset. Well, Narset might actually come down and draw me 2 cards. I think it's just one of the campaigns. I probably don't need both. So the opponent could just hit me with Croxa as early as next turn if they just have more lands for it. This is a card... I feel like every red-black sack deck should obviously be playing a bunch of Croxas, and many of them don't. It confuses me. Croxa is just incredible. And this doesn't look like typical red-black sack at all, more like red-black sack aggro. Probably not doing Bola Citadel stuff, and more just killing the opponent's stuff, which I can appreciate. It's probably going to get me killed here, since ECD doesn't hit this thing. Staring at the graveyard. Oh, crap. Well, yeah. Yeah, it's really good. This is a Grafdigger's Cage matchup if ever I've seen one. And this is the kind of, like, hyper-efficient deck. Like, Stitcher Supplier just makes this kind of deck so strong, the Croxa deck specifically, that, This is the kind of thing that makes me wonder if like Esper Yorion with a bunch of standard cards is actually playable. Like you might need to be doing some kind of powerful engine thing to keep up with the sorts of things our opponent's doing there. Anyway, Baffling End, Archon, Cages, Wipes are all coming in. Narset's coming out. Deputy Detention is coming out. Some number of discard spells are coming out. Probably some Thought Erasures. And I don't actually know if my opponent has any ECD targets. So maybe all the ECDs should actually be coming out, and I should be keeping something else. Such as Cry of the Carnarium. There we go. All right, we do have a lot of sideboard cards for this matchup, and the reason I cut Erasure over Remorse is that Remorse can pick stuff out of graveyards, particularly Kroxa. So it's not as much of a dead draw. Yep, good. I can believe it. Historic Rex seems like a good deck. Seems like Explorer is a good thing to have, and the deck is just overall really powerful in Standard, which is a good place to start from Historic.
We need to become Aaron Girdler tonight, chat. That's the goal.
Yeah, if the opponent has a good Stitcher Supplier Fiend Artisan deck, I might just want to pick up what they're doing. I really actually am pretty fond of Red Black Sack. It's like Cat Oven stuff just bores me way too much, and I'm not as interested in that, but I don't even know if the opponent's playing Cat Oven. Like, probably, but they did a Fanatical Firebrand. Fanatical Firebrand plus Call the Death Dweller is kind of ridiculous synergy. Maybe I'll build something like what they're doing and try to play it tonight. JBCWK25, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the Edgewell Inn. Hope you enjoy your stay. I feel like seeing Elder Gargaroth in the background every single time I sideboard is like subliminally making me want to play more Elder Gargaroths than I should. Yeah, and for this, tons and tons of removal, which is what you want to see. It's not going to be enough by itself, but Archon of Sun's Grace is kind of how we go over the top of their Kroxa stuff, hopefully. This Fishcake stream, Ackerman, I'd be interested in watching that. Stomping Ground, huh. So is this just like a mountain that casts Fiend Artisan, or are there green cards? I'm intrigued. Quite intrigued. So Charming Prince, most importantly, needs to find me a second white source for this Archon. Although I will take a Grafdigger's Cage. Grafdigger's Cage seems like a good thing to have. Opponent has no idea what I'm playing. I'll be interested to see if they actually brought in any artifact removal. And now they have to wonder, given that I topped a card, whether they have to just take Archon of Sun's Grace here. But whatever they take, next turn I can just put Yorion into my hand, which is a good thing for later. Butters. Don't have any idea at all. Also, given that it seems like Fishcake is not a streamer, if we don't know their gender identity, better to leave it at a neutral they. But I don't really know. Maybe they're a well-known player. Baffling End bites it. Notably, the only removal I have that stops Kroxa. No probs, Butters, no probs. I wouldn't be surprised if Agnes Remorse were a sideboard card. Yep, Stitcher Supplier. Super powerful 1-drop, but nothing too scary going in the graveyard yet. Another green source. And it's just a Kroxa. I think here I'm just going to discard the spare Oath of Kaya. Grafdigger's Cage seems really important, and Archon would be incredible to play next turn if I happen to hit a white source. I already set the third Oath of Kaya. The problem is if I'm not oathing now because they could just get Kroxa out of the graveyard. Let me attack with Charming Prince, see if they want to block with Supplier because they think they can escape Kroxa that way, and then I play Cage and disappoint them. That would be good. They don't know about the Cage because they remorsed right before we found it. Seems risky not to close their graveyard. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Panther. You mean exile? I will acknowledge that, like, I put in Cage over Ashiok, but this is a matchup where Ashiok would obviously be much better because it can't be... It exiles their graveyard before it gets killed in some way, and Fiend Artisan is still going to be enormously annoying to deal with. Ouch, Bedevil. Okay. So we found out what that trick is all about. Omen of the Sea. Alright, so we can't answer Kroxa at the moment, so it's probably just going to murder me. Really want to find a white source off this Omen, or a Baffling End, or an Eliminate. Something that can handle... Alright. Fountain solid, Fountain solid. Kroxa is going to do a lot of damage to me really fast, but if I get like a Yorion Prince Omen loop going and then add an Oath of Kaya to that, or an Archon of Sun's Grace, I guess, I can survive. So if they Kroxa, I'm just going to discard Oath of Kaya. But yeah, if Red-Black Kroxa is popular, that really slips under a lot of what we're doing here. This card is terrifying. The Minosaur, it's been a good stream so far. I think we've won our last... There's only been 2 matches so far. There was Mystmin, there was Mono Black, and there was Reclamation. So no, we are 3-0 on the stream so far, but I don't think we have great odds against this Kroxa coming out. Alright, just a different Kroxa instead. Same plan, I mean, they know about Archon of Sun's Grace. So maybe this plan here is to go Agonizing Remorse? Alright, they have Agonizing Remorse, so this is interesting. Archon is capable of racing Kroxa, so sensibly they take it. So we need to hit this land or we're in a lot of trouble. Tef Time Raveler. Okay, Tef is actually pretty reasonable. So I'll go Tef. So I have a few options. I could plus Tef just so I can bounce a Kroxa if one comes out. I could bounce Omen of the Sea back to my hand. That way if I draw a land, I can play the land, play Omen again, and then Yorion looks really good from there. I would really like to hit a 5th land. I'm going to go ahead and bounce Omen. Another Tef. Alright, another Tef's not bad either. Yeah, Genesis, I really don't think it's that far behind, frankly. I feel like Kroxa should see more... I mean, I think it's more just Uro's presence that makes Kroxa look worse than it was. Like, if Uro didn't exist, I think Kroxa might, like, see Uro levels of play, almost. That makes sense. Alright, opponent still has a huge graveyard, of course, so stopping Kroxa temporarily is not going to be all that. Darn. I think it is actually just Oath of Kaya here. Because I really don't want to let Kroxa attack if I can help it. Losing a bouncing source of life gain is a little painful. But so is life. Not that life is painful, it's just that that's the way it goes. Okay, so this turn, I'm going to go for Omen, play the other Tef, bounce their Kroxa, and then go for Yorion Prince Omen loop next turn. Ooh, I can eliminate Kroxa too, huh? Yeah, I guess I just kill Kroxa. Or, Tricky, tricky, tricky. So if I bounce Kroxa, I draw a card. Very basically replace itself, but they get an extra discard by playing out the Kroxa. And I'm going to end up with 3 cards in hand, so I get to keep Yorion no matter what. So I guess it's just a tough play. I didn't think through that maybe as much as I could have. So if they have a 6th land, they can go Kroxa into Kroxa. I'm just going to be forced to keep Yorion. Although I guess I could just keep Eliminate, kill the other Kroxa. So they would obviously play that before playing the land so that I wouldn't know they had another Kroxa. If I keep eliminate kill Kroxa, they're like pretty far off of having another Kroxa. I guess if they have removal for Charming Prince and just kill Tef, this Yorion's not going to do a lot, but it will at least keep me able to hold Eliminate in hand against a Kroxa coming out of the yard. This feels like it could just be Call of the Death Dweller. Call of the Death Dweller would be tricky. Nope, just going for Kroxa. Alright, they were just scanning their graveyard to figure out what to exile. Okay. So here we have the interesting decision of, are we going to hold on to Yorion, or are we just going to hold on to Eliminate? Let's think about what our decision is going to be here. So we have a Tef. If Tef gets to 3 loyalty, you can bounce Omen of the Sea, which is a bunch of card advantage for me. Charming Prince is currently defending Tef reasonably well. If I keep Yorion, I get to play Yorion next turn. Bounce Prince, Omen, Prince comes back, blinks Yorion, Omen comes back. I basically have to draw a couple cards, then Kroxa hits me for like 6, and I lose one of the cards. Kroxa could also hit Tef. I'm gonna keep the Yorion. I think the Yorion gives me a lot of stuff to potentially do. Okay. So I think I'm keeping this land in hand for now as like a thing I can discard to Kroxa if I have to. Incarcerated, don't go giving wizards ideas. Note that there's no reason to order these triggers any differently because we have to choose what Prince is doing before we see we draw off Omen. Cry of the Carnarium. No, that just breaks, that kills Prince, which doesn't really seem like what I want to be doing. I guess Yorion comes back at the end of the next turn and rescues Prince. Cry's not uninteresting. Yeah, actually, I think I will keep Cry. Cry's actually really good against a lot of things they could play from here. It obviously doesn't take care of my little Kroxa problem, but it takes out a lot of other things that they could have. Like if they play Priest next turn, Cry is a really good answer to that. It's a great answer to... It's close. This might be the wrong play, but we'll see. Great answer to Stitcher Supplier. They're looking at my graveyard. I guess they could just kill Prince. If they have like a Bedevil, they could have killed Tef with it, so it doesn't really matter whether or not I blocked with Prince there. 7th land. Okay. Keeping it close, keeping it close. Fiend Artisan, sweet. Alright, love Cry the Canarium being around right now. Love Cry the Canarium as a keep there. Fiend Artisan would have been incredibly bad to let stick around. Agonizing Remorse is pretty bad, but that's okay. It's a card I can discard to Kroxa. So now we're going to attack first, get our extra damage in. Cry kills everything. And then Agonizing Remorse probably just gets eaten by Kroxa, but we'd get a chance to see some other stuff as well with the Omen. And now in a vacuum, when the opponent has no graveyard, most of their draws are not too threatening. Yeah, Archon seems like a pretty good one to keep around. Yeah, it basically makes my clock a turn faster. Sure. Hey, Anaphylactic, thanks for the subscription. Really excellent to have you here. Notably, I could have attacked with Prince and put them dead to 1 Yorion activation there, but I don't think that's super necessary. Even if they hit a 3rd creature here, using Priest is like not... I guess if they had exactly Stitcher Supplier, I'm suddenly in some trouble. But we now have a spare creature to sack. Baffling End seems like a pretty good one. So we are forced to block Croc, so we have a token for that. If they have, I guess, Claim the Firstborn off the top, we're in trouble, but I haven't even seen a Claim the Firstborn from them at all yet, so I don't even know if they're running it. Discard Cry. Gain a little bit of life. Yorion's coming back, which means they're still dead to flyers. Alright, good game, opponent, good game. Okay, so they flooded a little bit, but we were able to fight through the Croxes even though they had the Bedevil for the cage. Deputy Detention as an answer to Croxa is maybe a thing I should be thinking about a little bit more. Mystical Dispute as an answer to Croxa coming out of the graveyard even. But they do have some pretty aggressive starts. I could think about doing something like cutting a campaign for a deputy as well. Yeah, I'll do that. Obviously, deputy is not super impressive against Croxa, but the opponent's deck could easily have multiples of something in play at some point. Let's just do that. All right, now we have to win the game on the draw, which is the really hard part. Croxa is just very tough to deal with, as you saw there. We had to discard like 5 cards, but we managed because we had our value engine going. And that's not always easy. Okay, yep, double Baffling End plus a Tef that's going to be hard for them to pressure is pretty darn good. Citrus Player hasn't hit a Croxa yet. We have a bunch of spare lands to discard. Dreadhorde Butcher, yep, can baffle that one, no problem. Campaign's kind of interesting. On the house. I don't know, Napadam, did I say that? Sometimes I don't really keep track of what I'm saying. Oh, Croxa, I might have said Croxa is a house, possibly. As in Croxa is very good. Ah, this is great. The pause where the opponent's like, do I have to take Disinformation Campaign? Ah. Yeah, I don't actually think that's a reference to anything. Okay, no Croxes yet. Cool, cool, cool. And we've got multiple Tefs, so I think this turn, obviously I don't really want to bounce a Stitcher Supplier. So we're just going to go with Disinformation Campaign instead. They could just discard a Croxa if they have one in hand, but Lurrus goes away. Lurrus going away makes me think they might have called the Death Dweller, because Lurrus would obviously be an incredible card to keep in hand. This definitely smells like Call the Death Dweller into casting a 3rd Stitcher Supplier. At which point, Tef alone is not going to be enough. I'm going to need to... I guess in 2 turns I can Tef back a Baffling End and baffle Lurrus. Yeah, Call the Death Dweller looks like what's... Oh, okay. Second Lurrus also makes a lot of sense. But hand's empty. That's a Croxa. They only have 1 red source. Huh. Pretty interested in Omen of the Sea just because I have a bunch of things that could kill Lurrus. I have 1 more Baffling and 3 Eliminates. If I could find one of those now, that would be excellent. Don't really want either of these very much. Okay. So this is going to be tough. Dreadhorde Butcher coming out of the yard and me getting hit for 7 is kind of a nightmare. Priest coming down is also kind of a nightmare. So I could just hit Cry of the Carnarium, which is another thing. I scried 2 non-Cry of the Carnarium cards to the bottom with Omen of the Sea, but 80 card deck is coming out to hurt us a little bit. We only have 2 Cries because I'm kind of hedging my bets against a lot of different decks. If this kind of deck is popular, one thing we easily get to is put a 3rd or a 4th Cry in the sideboard. Yep, Cry off the top is one thing that could get us into this game. Could still be okay if we hit like a Baffling End or an Eliminate, can take care of Lurrus, bounce the Dreadhorde Butcher. Oath of Kaya would be even better. Or we could draw another land. Yeah, I think that's Curtains. So if we bounce Baffling End at this point, we can baffle Lurrus, but we just get killed because Baffling End makes a 3/3. I guess if Tef bounces Lurrus, I'm not technically dying this turn to the Butchers and such, so I could hit Cry the Carium, and then... Yeah, I have to Tef. That's non-negotiable. So, question is, what am I Teffing? Do I Tef? I mean, I have to Tef bouncing one of their things. We'll Tef, we'll bounce Lurrus. Draw another land. Alright, so we just flooded out a little bit. I think I'll probably go down to 36 lands after this game. And maybe a third Cry of the Canarium. Because between this and just the regular red-black sack decks, I think it probably comes in a lot. Last turn rather than the Omen? Yeah, that's also reasonable. Although, even if they lure us into, like... I guess they didn't have anything to play, because they had... I think they had Mill of Scorpion already at that point, right? I think my best hope there was hitting a Cry really fast. And Cry still works, in theory. So we have 2 draws at it, thanks to Tef. I think it's pretty much only Cry. I did bring in Time Wipes, but Time Wipe just gets me killed. Oath of Kaya doesn't quite get there. Actually, Oath of Kaya killing... No, given they're going to play Lurrus, Oath of Kaya doesn't get us there. It has to be Cry. Definitely a powerful, powerful aggro deck. And I can even see how it handles stuff like goblins. Wow, goes with Priest over Lurrus. Alright, well the plan remains the same as ever. We've got to play Tef and hit Cry. Gonna bounce Butcher. And yeah, no joy for us. Just flooded out and died. Hey there, Panda. You caught me flooding out and dying, but I think this matchup's manageable. I probably want an extra Cry on the board, though. Just because this kind of archetype I expect to see a lot of at the Open. Plus the Goblins. Alright, let's make some quick changes, adjustments, and all that. Currently on 37 or 36 lands. If on 36, I want to keep it there. 37, though. Let me go ahead and cut... I think I might add one more Triome and cut a... Island. We're missing black one game. I did add a bunch of eliminates, which means the early black demands are actually pretty harsh. We don't have any double black spells, and currently we're on 16, 19, 22 black sources. Maybe I just add one of each Triome, cut like an island. Here I am adding lands, though, and I'm supposed to be going down lands. 6 Triomes might be too many. Let me try that, though. Well, honestly, maybe Temple of Silence is just the answer if I'm worried about having too many Triomes, but Triomes and check lands are so good. They're so good. And yet... Maybe this is absurd, but I'm going to try Temple of Silence. I wanted more white and black sources, although I'm just like overcorrecting for that one game, right? I mean, both my Triomes make blue. What do I have right now? We got 20 white sources, 20 black sources, 22 blue sources. I can make it perfectly even. The deck's pretty even, not a lot of black, I guess, but a lot of black that we need early. Let's go back to two more triumphs here. 18 black sources. And could just be third Archon. Wouldn't have minded a third Archon in that matchup. Could be one more Eliminate, just go up to 4 cheap removal spells for stuff. Let's see what I might want to just move the Archon of the sideboard, put it in the main deck, and get that third Cry in. Yeah, and then is Cage really something I want? Or do I just want like 4 Cry for like Goblins and such? Cage is good against Kethis, but do I need to be good against Kethis? It's possible I just have enough stuff against Kethis already. I could just put in 1 more Cry and like a 4th Eliminate or something like that. Maybe a Dispute. I'll stick to this for now. And I'll put some sleeves on. I'll put some sleeves on. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for reminding me. The Manasar, are you asking if my deck is a Croaky's deck? No, Croaky's actually played this deck on stream. We actually have a fun audio clip of him talking about it, but no, it's very much, I mean, because the concept is so basic, I hesitate to call it like a special Aaron Gertler deck, but I did build it without really any reference to what other people are doing. It's very different from other versions of Esper Yorion that people like Andre Yamaguchi play. Ah, the Jund deck. You mean the deck we just played against? No, that was quite a bit different than what Croaky's has been playing, as far as I know. Unless the deck has gone through dramatic changes since the last time I watched his stream. Yeah, Tom Bormer, I'm inclined to agree with you. Okay, we're just on streamer day today. Mystmin, and now it looks like Ashlizzle. I wonder if Ashlizzle's also on Red-Black Sacrifice. Oof. 5 lands, but only 1 blue source for Narset, which means if I own, I'm going to be looking for another blue source actively. I think the average 6 is better. Yeah, this is pretty reasonable. Fabled Passage. Okay, that's not too informative. Don't hate a 4th land that comes into play pain-free. Alright, well I guess we'll find out fast. Rakdos Cat Oven. Yay! Well, glad we put that 3rd Cry and that 3rd Archon in. Oh, it's just a super weird looking swamp. I'm like, what the heck? For a second I really thought she had a Fabled Passage for a Phyrexian Tower. And I was like, that's cheating. Meanwhile, Blood Artist is pretty scary. But no, this hand is not too scary. I mean, give me your Woe Strider, I suppose. Does mean ECD doesn't have a target, but that's fine. I can live with that. Well, ECD has a target. You know what my favorite part about Blood Artist is? It doesn't attack Tef. Doesn't attack Tef. Admittedly, they do just get to play Mayhem Devil into Fabled Passage and hit Tef that way, but that's fine after their whole turn. And they get to play Oven as well, but I get to Thought Erasure in case they hit a card off the top, and then ECD the Devil, and then ECD just brings back Tef at some point. And all of that seems pretty reasonable. Okay, this is all well and good. So just need to dodge the crazy top decks here. Sweet. And yeah, I'll keep Tef. And actually, I should just be playing out, I might be cycling this later. Okay, no cats, please. Sweet. All right. I mean, cat will be a problem if she finds one soon, but I think we've got things generally under control. Stitcher Supplier would also be a strong draw. Use an Oath of Kaya. Oath of Kaya is really sort of my cheat code against decks that are pinging me to death. Ghost Rider represents 2 more damage with Blood Artist. Well, now I get the super sweet Tef into Disinformation campaign combo, which I love. I'm guessing Ashlizzle will not think to sack the Woe Strider. Although I guess... No. Okay, just pinging me first. Actually, we'll be curious. Given that this can escape, she might actually sack it to deny me the card draw and then escape it next turn. But no. Cool. So that is exactly one of the many reasons I love this information campaign. Goodbye, Woe Strider. I mean, now it's just in the graveyard, so she can get it back, but then I can bring Tef out of the graveyard and bounce it again. Interesting little game. I'm really glad I held in this Triome, because we are kind of flooding. This card is very, very scary. Gotta make... I think I want to try at some point is Black-White Aristocrats, just going the 8 Celebrant route. Huh. Cool. I mean, that makes sense, kind of. But it does make the Oath of Kaya draw absurdly devastating. So the reason she did that was because if she escaped Woe Strider and I got Tef out, I could potentially just bounce and discard it again. I assume that she knows I'm on some never discard spells here. So she preserved cards in graveyard so she can escape the Strider later, which is cool. But now I get to just Oath down the Strider. Actually, I could Oath the Artist and then bounce the Strider. That actually seems better. If Strider comes back as a 5/4, I don't actually have an immediate answer to it. So let me hit the Blood Artist here. Let's get rid of this thing, which makes cats much less scary too. Admittedly, I don't gain the life this way, but that's okay. We got enough life to play around with. Sure, she's hunting for cats. Literally, we're not really ever going to gain life off of this Oath of Kaya. Huh. So this turn I could just put Oath back in my hand, Oath the Strider, rather than bouncing it. But then it gets to escape, and we're kind of back in the same problematic situation as before. She could sack the Strider, but then I get to put Yorion in my hand this turn, which is fine. Oh wow, well that was a nice draw. I mean, I guess I'll just do that. UCD also looking kind of clean. And we'll play out a Triome so that I can go Isolated Chapel, put Yorion out in hand, play Yorion. Yeah, I thought about Witness, thought about it, but I decided I just didn't want this in the graveyard, but then I drew this information campaign and something I did want in the graveyard. Delicious, delicious, delicious. Okay, if this is Ashlizzle's best play, I like where we're standing. It does give me the option to just fire off ECD and blink Tef up to 3. Ooh. Huh. Yeah, I guess I'm just doing that actually, because then next turn I can just play Yorion with Archon of Sun's Grace in play. Actually, wait. Ooh. Huh. So we plus Tef, that's a guarantee. Could play Yorion this turn. I could play ECD this turn, put Yorion in hand, but then next turn, unless I draw an untapped land, I can't actually play Archon and Yorion, which is a little sad. It means I don't get all these juicy Pegasi. Even so, this play seems pretty good. Like, get the Strider out of here. And thanks to Archon of Sun's Grace, cats probably aren't bothering us anymore. Unless I guess it's cat plus devil. But if it's a devil, it's not like Ashlizzle can play it, because it's just going to ECD it again. Actually, are we dead to cat devil at this point? Okay. Shieldmaiden gave up the ghost. Cool. And sideboarding. Yay, sideboard cards. I don't actually think I want Time Wipe, given that I have 3 Cry already. I think I cut Narset as before. Cut some number of discard spells. Archons are fantastic. ECD has lots of juicy targets in this matchup, so I'll keep it around. Deputy looks pretty bad. I guess Deputy is kind of hilariously good at cleaning up spare food tokens. But I don't think that's a super relevant job description. Go to 2 campaign. Maybe Deputy's better than campaign. Like, if I Deputy and hit the Priest, Deputy's like kind of hard to kill from there. But I also think Ashlizzle deck is kind of sluggish, especially with a bunch of removal to slow things down, and having actual card advantage is a good feeling. I think Ashlizzle just crushed me last time we played each other on our streams, so I would love to get some revenge here and look solid. Do I play golf, Tiki Rev? I do not. I'm really not a fan of games where a lot of like effort and planning and time can be destroyed by like a single bad swing. Like tennis I love, because tennis it's like there's so many points in a game that like any single point going a certain way doesn't really matter that much. And the way I play Magic is just a ladder all the time, so it doesn't really matter if I, lose a game on a bad draw. But like paper Magic tournaments don't have a ton of appeal to me for this reason, unless I'm going with friends. Because I hate the idea of, traveling a long distance, paying a bunch of money, and then a single draw is just like what I'm thinking about for forever. Okay, Evan's here. Let's just start picking stuff off. Okay, Butcher Priest claim the Firstborn. Alright, Ashlizzle was not having it. Claim the Firstborn, not a card to keep in against us, I don't think. But hey, I'll take the win. That's good, that's good. Inevitable End is a pretty on-theme card to hit when you're playing Esper Yorion. That's what we are all about. I think I want to do like one more match with this one, and then maybe I'll switch to something fun. Might just do Clover Historic. EasyMac, hey, it's Oliver 2 again. Wow. Every streamer today. And I think Oliver 2 was on Kethis last time I saw him, but I don't know what's happening now. CS no. No Pirates without you, got it. Pirates was not really on my list of things to try. Okay, keep this, and I think I dump Archon? I'm not necessarily assuming this is Kethis, but I think the 3 cards in hand are like a little more flexible than Archon, like better in a wider range of matchups. I guess eliminates a dead card a lot of the time. But yeah, that was close. In a vacuum, it's hard to tell. Breeding Pool, all right, would not be at all surprised if this were Kethis. Canaan Bond or Prodigy, or is it just going to be Explorer and then Wilderness Reclamation stuff? What's up? What's up, Oliver? Growth Spiral, okay, not Kethis. Let's figure out what's going on. Is it a matchup where Eliminate's dead? Ooh! Nice Ether Gusts, Oliver. Play better main decks. I mean, I'm sure Ether Gust is fine, but goodness gracious. All right, we mold, but Oliver double mold. So I'm into it. See if he ripped a Mystical Dispute for the stuff. Nope. We even have an Eliminate, so a Shark Typhoon doesn't just get us. No sharks. And Okay, well, I know Oliver's whole hand now. We get to draw some cards with Omen. Backup Teft's always a good one. Let's just jam Omen and plan to cast double Omen here. So we'll be looking for an untapped land. Thought Erasure. Huh. What would Oliver draw that would stay in Oliver's hand? I guess like Shark Typhoon? This is like a way of getting rid of a Shark Typhoon early? I also have Teft, so I suppose I can bounce Reclamation and Thought Erasure it, but it's like a nice effect to have one of, but no, I'm gonna say no to that. I don't think I need it too much. I guess there is draw step discard, of course, but I feel like my average draw is slightly better than that. We'll see. If we get sharked, well, it's pretty easy to hold Eliminate and play around it if we have to. Okay, Thought Erasure. Now I'll take it. I'll bottom Oath of Kaya. I don't see that being super necessary. I would rather hit like Disinformation Campaign, just some card advantage to blink with Yorion. Or Yorion itself. Yeah, let's just go with plus. Land, Yorion to hand, puts me to 7 cards. And draw step, Thought Erasure is available now. I wonder what card Oliver is going to want from here. Everybody's favorite. I would feel guilty doing this if it were almost anything else, but Wilderness Reclamation, no guilt. Charming Prince, yeah, don't mind if I do. Don't mind if I do. Of course, a string of additional explosions could still turn this around. I think I just want to Yorion this turn, and then Prince next turn and get the loop going. A little sad just to be drawing 1 card off of my 4/5 flyer, but you know, I can live with that. He does have a Castle Vantress going still, so there are no guarantees here. Teft's going to go up to 4, could be exploded down, but if he does tap out to explode Teft, I just have another one. And a kind of constant source of card advantage. I have an ECD for Reclamation. All that good stuff. Not interested in more lands. What did we keep? Opt. Okay, much less scary than Explosion, especially since Explosion no longer kills Tef. Kept a card on top, it looks like. Is this just going to be Reclamation to do more scrying? That would make a lot of sense. Counting. Explosion for 3. There's not really any reason to blink it. It would have 4 loyalty either way, Tammy. And if I had used the ability first to try and draw a card, Tef would have died before I could blink it. Alright. Oliver did find an explosion, that's pretty decent, but Narset is also pretty decent, huh? Narset looking kinda clean. Well, plus you. Going with you. See what Narset finds me. Prison. Another Omen of the Seas. Pretty good. Huh. Gonna play Omen. I might still play a discard spell over Charming Prince if I happen to hit one. Campaign and Second Prince. You know? second Prince probably shouldn't be necessary, since if I blink Yorion, Yorion's going to come down and blink Prince, and then blink Prince is not going to be available to kill on my opponent's turn. The real question is, can I go a whole turn without any Planeswalkers in play and expect to survive the experience? You'd basically have to have Reclamation to a third Explosion to punish. I'll go for this. Alright, how much value are we getting here? I'm going to blink Yorion, and then the question is, do I blink Narset? I think I'm not going to blink Narset. I think this should be plenty of value without getting super greedy on him. Never remember how Explosion works with Narset. Chat, if they explode Narset, do they still get all the cards, or do they not get any cards? Howdy, Bottle Brush. Yeah, Deacon Black, I don't think it's great. It's more than just like a constant source of card advantage for me. Like, is it worth keeping Tef around? It's probably worth keeping Tef around, right? And just drawing like several cards and drawing several more cards. I'm just going to keep my lock. They don't get the cards. Alright, well that's good to know. Had I known that, I probably would have blinked Narset too. But it's still nice to turn off Explorer. Oof! Okay, okay, Mantic Storm's Wrath. I mean, that makes sense, right? Alright, Storms with Wilderness Rec is the last card. Is the last card Explosion? If the last card's Explosion, we've got ourselves a tight game again. Oh my goodness. Floats mana. Alright. Alright, 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 alright. Just shock Yorion. That'd be funny. Alright, don't want either of these. I have an Eliminate already. I shouldn't need more than one. Thought Eraser's great. I think I take a second ECD as well. It still kills Reclamation and Uro. City Fairy played a land this turn as well. Just tap that Castle Vantries. He's counting, chat. He's counting. Did he really get the third Explosion? Oh my goodness, I think he did. He's hovering. Gosh, okay. Alright, Oliver. I see your draw, and I guess I'll try and match it with more draws. The good news is he's got one Explosion left. One Explosion is not a high number of explosions. I think my plan here is just to Thought Erasure ECD this Reclamation here. Well, let's Thought Erasure first, see what's going on. Can I take the fourth Explosion out of your hand, buddy? Opt Growth Spiral. Okay. Not much. I'll take Agonizing Remorse. I think? Yeah, I'll take Agonizing Remorse. And yeah, fourth Explosion is not a huge threat without a Reclamation coming out. Could Growth Spiral into Reclamation. But this just feels like ECD to me. Goodbye. And then the fun part is when Yorion comes back, I get to blink ECD, which means if Oliver does draw a Reclamation, he can't exactly play it this turn because it will just get ECD'd again. Oliver's got half a deck left, one Explosion, 3 Reclamations, I think. Gone through 1 Storm's Wrath. I took an Uro on turn 2, so he's got some number of Uros left. I'm surprised not to see Fabled Passage coming out here. Last Zone, okay, and done. Sure. Tef plus Agonizing Remorse is going to hurt a lot. Archon of Sun's Grace. I could get into that, actually. I have kind of all the cards I want. I could get into something that actually helps me finish the game. I think Omen of the Sun probably isn't quite good enough for that, though. Now I really wish I had the other Charming Prince. My goodness, if he has another Explosion, he could just explode Yorion and draw 5 more cards, but at that point I think he literally doesn't have enough ways to win the game anymore. Okay, ECD went off. Shark Typhoon is really cheap to cycle, so I think I go for Remorse first. Try to hit a Shark Typhoon if there's one in there. It does rid me of the ability to go Tef into stuff. But actually, if I Remorse and then clear the way, I can't Tef into Yorion either. Huh. I have Eliminate, actually. I have Eliminate, so I'm completely safe. Let's just attack with Yorion first. Got sharks, buddy? Yep, it was a shark. Glad I had this Eliminate. Get the heck out of here. Thank you. Sadly, it looks like Agonizing Remorse isn't really going to have its day in the sun, or Disinformation campaign may have been a poor choice given all these Ether Gusts, but draw step discard spells are still fun. At least for me. No cards. Goodbye. Banter, it's been good. It's been good. We are beating almost everyone. We just beat Oliver. Eliminate actually better than Baffling, I think, just because it actually allows me to attack the way I did there. Am I still in 3 copies for Sharks? Probably just, again, one of those matchups where I cut some number of Omens. Maybe just 1 Oath, 1 Archon. Archon's, against Storm's Wrath especially, Archon is pretty clumsy. And yep, Grafdigger's Cage does turn off Uro in a sort of permanent way, which is nice, but I have a bunch of Agonizing Remorse and a bunch of ECDs and a bunch of Narsets, so I'm not that worried about Uro. Just do this. Yep, Kevlar Man. Galaxy Brain. Let's see how much harder this matchup gets once Oliver is on 0 Ether Gust. Still think our rec matchup should be pretty good, but it definitely helped. Definitely helped. He was on 0 Gust. Somewhat risky. Double ECD is nice against Reclamations, obviously, but it's really easy to get destroyed by Reclamation before the first ECD even comes down. But Omen helping me find like a turn 3 discard spell is hopefully good enough here. We'll see. Wow, the untapped demons. I guess he plays a bunch of ops, so that does make sense. High contrast, 2 main deck, 1 in the companion zone. I can't remember if Oliver played any Explorers that game. Explorer might not be good enough for Reclamation, honestly. Never mind, he is playing it and it probably is good enough. I take it all back. Remember when Wizards of the Coast decided this deck would have a Growth Spiral on turn 2 every game? Does anybody remember that? I think bluffing the counterspell is worth a bit more than trying to like slip in the Omen under Mystical Dispute when you tapped out for Opt there. Loving Dispute, loving Dispute. I want this land, not especially. I would love it to be like a discard spell. Third Omen's also fine. Nightback Ambusher. No. Nice timing. Zweckdog. Yeah, Team Wreck. I've seen quite a bit of it. Makes sense. Reclamation is an incredibly powerful spell, and if it's legal in your format, you should be considering it, unless your format's like Legacy or something. But Historic is certainly a format where you can get away with playing 4-drops, and so people play a very good 4-drop. Yeah, this is the kind of matchup where Campaign honestly looks more cute than anything. It's like, if these last 3 cards are Reclamation, Explosion, anything, Campaign's not really helping me. Is he going to like maybe 8 2-mana discard spells and cutting one of the campaigns? Something I've also considered for the sideboard but haven't gone for yet is Necromentia. Ooh, Tef. Okay, I think this is just Tef. Obviously, it could get countered. The problem is if there's another Night Pack Ambusher in there, I'm just going to get eaten alive by it with my current hand if there's like a counterspell backup for it. Like Evoker Campaign, they have a counterspell, an Ambusher, and something else. So I'm willing to get Tef whacked here by a counterspell, which I'm pretty sure Oliver has, if it stops Ambusher from coming out. Ambusher, a card that Eliminate doesn't hit, by the way. One of those things you give up when trying to run that over Heartless Act. Okay, it was just Ambusher. That's actually fine. So now we get rid of this, and if you main phase it, I've got the ECDs locked and loaded. Well, not yet, not yet. We'll get there. Okay, that's fine. Just give me time to hit these land drops, which I like. All right, in that case, let's just go with Campaign. If this is Ambusher, you're losing whatever counterspell you had to potentially protect it. And then hope that we get to resolve this ECD. No guarantees, but I like the position we've set ourselves up to be in. What was this last card? Growth Spiral, sure. So we did actually take a real card away from Oliver there. Notably, if this is a counter for ECD, we still just lose, I think. I guess Double Oath might keep us alive. Anyway, let's see what's going on. Castle Vantress is up, as always. Shark would also be tough, but beatable with Double Oath. Okay, not the funnest, but we're not out of it yet. Oliver seems to have found no Reclamation. No Reclamation, cool, cool, cool. I'm going to play one Omen here. See if I find a discard spell off it, maybe. Double bottom these. Yeah, double bottom these. Both hitting a wolf means I'm not dying to Shark. Typhoon. Okay. Hey, Demovia. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So if Oliver found another explosion, we're probably dead. Explosion's a very powerful card. Shark Typhoon's no spring, no picnic, but it's beatable. We do get a Tef into play next turn. If we don't die this turn, ECD goes off, we get to put Yorion into play and get a lot of stuff going. But yeah, the Shark Typhoon plus the Ambusher plan definitely helps put this deck over the top a little bit. Some question of not tapping out for this in case there is an explosion, but if there is one, whatever. I don't think we're beating it. I'm going to keep Archon. Archon's a way we kind of get rid of sharks being a problem forever. Okay, nice. That actually worked. I'm glad that worked. So I now get to go for, I think it's just Yorion, which puts me to 5. I then get rid of the shark. Another option would be just to bounce the shark, play out Archon into Oath of Kaya, which gets my lift a little bit higher, gets me a blocker for a shark that could kill Tef otherwise. Let me bounce the shark first. I'm pretty sure I'm bouncing the shark. Okay, found an untapped land, so that's nice. So we've got play Archon, play Oath. We've got put Yorion into play, which obviously is tempting for a lot of reasons. We've got hold Veto, play Archon, which means another shark is scary, but But if they don't have a shark, that puts us in a really nice position. All right, Oliver, I know. I'm taking a while here. Be patient, buddy. Be patient. All right, I think I'm just going for the Yorion play. If there's like a shark and an explosion, this kills me, but it doesn't feel like there's a shark and explosion. Because I would have died if there was an explosion. Should not bounce tough here, I'm pretty sure. Well, what happens if I bounce tough? I think basically nothing happens, right? Because if it was explosion, I would have been dead before. Like, I would have been exactly dead. So this allows in, like, Ambusher, but Ambusher doesn't really matter when I've got Yorion around. Just Castle Pantris, okay. Veto was definitely a nice draw. Yeah, had Oliver just not cast the first Night Pack Ambusher on my turn, and had I not been able to dispute it as a result, I feel like I would have just lost. I guess Oliver has no idea what's in my sideboard. Like, the fact that I'm not playing any Aether Gust is pretty weird. But even so. Will keep Narset. Will I keep Campaign? I think I will keep Campaign. I think, like, actually keeping Oliver's hand size down is pretty meaningful, since there are no more dead cards in this deck that he can just discard for free. And I honestly probably keep a pain-free land as well. I'm not being very fussy here. We'll bottom that one, keep that one. I should have stacked the Disinformation Campaign draw first. And here I'm just going to discard, I guess, Godless Shrine, Watery Grave? Yeah. Oh yeah, we got planes. We're right near the airport here. I'll close this window. So I really need to watch Top Gun at some point so I know what you people are talking about. Okay, Oliver could have an explosion for exactly 6, put me to 1. Sinistra, I assume you don't actually need me to answer that question given the keck face, but for others who are curious, because I do get this question a fair amount, I don't know. I don't think there are any historic cards that are good enough. If you have suggestions, feel free to make them. The only thing I really thought about seriously was Gonti. I'm not in love with Gonti. I think it's just worse than, like, Atris as far as getting useful cards. Okay, there was the explosion, but I now have access to 9 mana. And a Narset, and an Archon of Sun's Grace, and a Dovin's Veto. Let me start with the Narset. Still anyone's game. Eliminate, that's helpful against sharks, I suppose. And we just go Archon, hold, Veto. Yep. Let's see, that's 2 explosions down, 2 explosions down. Question is, do I veto a Reclamation here? I don't think I do. I think the only thing I'm really super interested in vetoing at this point is an explosion. Since I have this ECD anyway. Obviously this gives like lots of mana, which can be used for a bunch of things, but because we have Narset, there's not that much to do with it. Can't fire off 2 lethal explosions. Can pop the Blast Zone and pop some of my stuff. But that's okay. Kevlarman, sorry, which card is this that we're referring to? Oh, Cast Down. Yeah, Cast Down's like a plausible thing to do. Okay, Narset's down, what else you got? Popped, sure. Cool, alright, so I've got Eliminate. I think I'm gonna start with Oliver goes to 1 if I can get this Oath of Kaya down, which is pretty funny. Let's see, if I attack, I can make a 5/5 Shark and hold 3 mana up. Which is enough to negate and eliminate. ECD gives me 5 mana, which is enough for eliminate plus veto. That one gets negated. Do I veto the negate? Do I veto the negate? I think I do veto the negate here. I'm gaining enough luck. We'll see. We'll see. I would like this Reclamation gone. If I were going to veto this, I'm basically assuming Oliver doesn't have a second one. It's possible if I were going to veto this, I should have just vetoed the original Reclamation and kept Narset in play. That might have been a really good idea. Cycling a Triome is excellent news. Okay. Wreck is gone. Oliver is within getting hit by Yorion range. I'm at 10. If I Oath of Kaya, I go to 13, which means that Reclamation into Explosion is, let's assume there's a land drop, it's 12 lands. Is 24, -4, -4. So I'm still dead if he has a Reclamation Explosion, but I can't stop that. So I think my best bet's just to Oath of Kaya here. Possible that just like holding up the mana and having like an Omen of the Sea Scry might even be better. I like that Oath of Kaya also makes further Oaths or Tef lethal. Yeah, Eldest Reborn I think is just worse than ECD. You're going to see Fry come out? Fry would be an interesting thing to have. Would stop a Castle Vantress Scry. Mystical Disputes the Oath of Kaya. So Oliver went for that over scrying with Castle Vantress. Let's see if this is Reclamation Explosion. That would... Nope. Okay, Uro. Uro keeps him alive and draws him cards too. That's annoying. Although ECD is going to make killing me kind of expensive on the subsequent turn. We do have the Eliminate. I'm getting all close to the camera, sorry chat. I just realized I was tensing up. Alright, Oliver can't put that land into play untapped because he would die to flyers. Explore, alright, missing Reclamation maybe? Definitely missing Reclamation. This is something. We're getting somewhere. Plays out 2 lands. That... Wow, that opens up Disinformation Campaign to be really good. Okay, let's find out what we're playing with them here. Time Ghoul, hey, thanks for the subscription. And yeah, my thoughts about these are... Yeah, I mean, they changed the meta around the deck, but they haven't really done much to change the deck. I guess is kind of my cop-out answer. Like, in Jumpstart, there's like a different set of things I'm looking out for. I thought about Gonti, as I mentioned before, as like a 4-drop option, because like a cool comes into play effect 4-drop in our colors, but it's not like I don't think that card is as good as Atris. I'm not even playing Atris right now. I'm on Archon at the moment. So, and stuff. I just don't think there's much. So Oliver does get to pull out Uro. So if Oliver's like top 2 cards are Reclamation Explosion or something like that, we could still die, but I think it pretty much has to be that, because Yorion is lethal even through like a Storm's Wrath. Also, everything costs 2 mana more, which is pretty good. It's going to take some really strong draws. Wow! Didn't even tap the Castle Vantress, not for a second. Oliver was a believer. Oliver was a believer. Okay, that looks like non-lands. Ooh, okay. Another Uro means that Storm's Wrath is no longer lethal. And can just be played out of the graveyard. These things really go off once they get going. We do have 11 power worth of flyers in play, and Oliver's done. Okay, okay, great match, great match. Oh. That was tight. I feel like no matter what deck I'm playing, unless it's Clover, which I know inside out, backwards, forwards, I feel like I'm always misplaying a little bit against Reclamation, just because they have so many things they can be doing at any given time, and it's piloted so often by very good players who are experienced with the deck, but I feel like aside from not vetoing the Reclamation, which I still think is defensible, I think that game was played very well. Eat it, Oliver, yes. But good games, good games. Oliver's a great streamer. We rated him, I think, like last time, and very much recommended if you want to go see people play meta decks very well. Anyway, I think that might be the close of the Esper for today. Let's finish off with one match of Historic Clover. So, for those of you who are Historic only players and don't play Standard, you know, here's this deck. It's called Teamer Clover. Yeah, so I've thought about experimenting with this deck a little bit. Specifically, something I thought about a lot was whether I wanted to maybe like get rid of Edgewell Innkeeper and go more in like a just ramping with Fave Wishes direction, like play a bunch of lands, play a bunch of Explorer effects, and just like do the Clover Fave Wishes endgame really hard. Because a lot of decks in this format don't really care about Edgewell Innkeeper, Red Black Sack. Goblins can kill it really easily because they play 4 Fanatical Firebrand and also Goblin Chainwhirler after sideboarding. So that's something I'm thinking about for now. I'm just kind of sticking to the classic list, though. River's Rebuke feels like way too slow and cute for this format. I think I'm cutting that. And what should I put in instead? We've got enough graveyard hate, I think. Let me pull up my list of like interesting historic Clover cards, which I made at some point. I also haven't really looked at Jumpstart. Let's actually look at Jumpstart and see if Jumpstart gives us any sweet sideboard options that I haven't thought about yet. So Jumpstart, we're looking at Planeswalkers, instant sorceries, enchantments, and artifacts. What could be Clover playable here? I'm guessing the answer is going to be not a lot. Ether Spellbomb is just a worse unsummon. Magma Quake is a worse Storm's Wrath. Volcanic Fallout, uncounterable 2 mana, 2 damage sweeper doesn't seem like it's going to be helpful. If Pyroclasm had been in Jumpstart, I would very much consider Pyroclasm. Random artifacts. Really, is this it? Huh, I guess this is it. I guess Jumpstart was mostly creatures, huh? Well, there is nothing that interests me. So I guess it's back to picking do I just go for Expansion Explosion? Yeah, I think Thud opens up Expansion Explosion to be a bit more interesting than it has been in the past. Flame Sweep is another thought as like a hedge against goblins, but I'm hoping Storm's Wrath is enough for that, plus Blazing Volley expansion. Oh, that's true, Deacon Black. Let me do one more quick search. See if there's something I missed in the like unowned pile, because I definitely don't have all of Jumpstart yet. Oh wait, there's so much stuff. All right, let's actually just look at unowned in our colors. Okay, whole lot of stuff, although a lot of it's reprints. Narcolepsy is actually the best. It kills kind of creatures of arbitrary size, which even Domer's Ambush doesn't do. I don't think it's good enough, but it's interesting. Exclude is cute if we know we're going to be countering creatures, but we almost always are countering non-creature spells when we fetch counters from the sideboard. Whelming Wave. Whelming Wave is an interesting effect. It's not something we have at that kind of cost in Standard. There's also Lightning Axe, which is like huge removal spell that's cheap, which is cool, although the discarded card effect is pretty big deal. Pillar of Flame. I've played Shock in the sideboard before, so Pillar of Flame is kind of like that. Oh, look at this card. This would let us sacrifice a Beanstalk Giant and target our opponent with. That would be a lot of damage. Probably too cute. I don't think it's going to work, but, you know, it's a thought. Lightning Strike is not better than Scorching Dragonfire. Riddle of Lightning is kind of funny if you think you can hit a Beanstalk Giant off it, but we won't be able to do that very consistently. Sarkhan's Unsealing is hilarious with Beanstalk Giant. It's actually kind of cute. Like, it's an... If we're setting up that combo, we could probably just be flinging people to death or thudding people to death, as it were, but that's cute. Flames of the Firebrand is kind of interesting. Seems the raise board's too expensive. Momentous Fall is interesting, and that it's sort of like an Escape the Wilds effect, but sacrificing a whole, like, Lovestruck Beast is a big cost to pay. Primeval Bounty. If we want to set up long-term card advantage, this is also an option, but it just gets killed by a lot of stuff, including some stuff that kills Clover that people are bringing against us. Alright, well, I'll put down Momentous Fall as a potential thing to look at later, but for now, we'll just go with Expansion Explosion and get onto the gameplay, which I'm sure y'all were waiting for. Oh, Zuran, yeah, Artifact Destruction could be a thing. Bottle Brush, I think that enchantment's too expensive. I think if you're doing that, you might as well just get Expansion. I think having a double fling instead of a triple fling should usually still be enough. Yeah, there should probably be some artifact removal in here somewhere, huh? Let's see, what comes up if I click Destroy Artifact? Is there anything better than Return to Nature, which I was using before?
We need to become Aaron Girdler tonight,
Deface,
that's the goal.
Airstrike is kind of cute. Destructive Tampering, huh. Really expensive, but the secondary effect is something I've thought about before. I'll write down Destructive Tampering. That's a card that could conceivably... I guess this has been... Is this M21? Yeah. Well, Destructive Tampering is interesting. I'm just going to use Return to Nature for now. It's not a bad thing to have a second way to remove enchantments anyway. But... Sprouting Rule is also a possibility because it's really cheap. Convoke is not an ability to overlook, but I don't think that's what I want. Vivian Reed... I have admittedly thought about Vivian Reed in this deck before. But she's really expensive. Everything is just so expensive, chat. All right, Vivian Reed definitely a consideration, though. All right, let's dive into one match with Clover, and then we'll go raid someone. I think that ends us at 5-1 for Yorion. That last match was really long. It is really too bad we can't tutor Shieldbreaker. If we could, but we play a bunch of other creatures in our sideboard too, so the sideboard look completely different, but it would be sweet. Ubiquitously, thanks for the follow. Oh, I'm sure it would be funny, Bottle Brush. I've heard tell of people trying to do that as a sideboard option. Okay, so about the big four, I think that Team Clover is slightly favored against Kethis, even to slightly unfavored against Goblins, probably slightly unfavored against Black-Red Sack, probably pretty good against Field on the whole. All these hands have been awful. Keep this one, though. Where are my Clovers and Innkeepers at? Ubiquitously, you mean in Standard? I saw the White Weenie deck won a tournament. As to whether I think that means something like Blue-white Flyers is viable. I think that'd be a completely different deck. I think the Strength of the White Weenie deck is it's extremely consistent, never has mana problems, gets to play a bunch of 1-drops because it never has mana problems. And that's all pretty good stuff. Huh. Conspicuous Snoop. Part of me wants to stomp that. Part of me recognizes that Skirk Prospector means that stomping the Snoop is a doomed cause. I'm actually going to Beanstalk here. Being able to double spell for sure next turn seems really valuable. It does give my opponent a chance to hit a Goblin off the Snoop, but it would have to be one that costs 3 or less, so it's like, you know, something like half of their deck. And then it might also just be like, I don't know, something that's not that impressive to cast. Second Snoop, okay. Can I draw a Clover and just stomp both of these, please? That would be really good. Hey! Hey! That's good. That's really good. That's going to help a lot. So I'm actually going to wait until their draw step to kill Snoops, because if they have like another land on top, I might want to like stomp a Chieftain a Snoop if they have a Chieftain pre-combat. We're going to see what they draw here. I would rather they not get to put a free Chain Whirler into play, so I'm going to stomp both the Snoops here. Of course, Skirk Prospector is going to be able to sacrifice these, which means that we, as long as Skirk Prospector is in the battlefield, we basically never get to keep an adventure targeting creature around, which is a little annoying, but it's not so bad. We can win the game without this 4-3. So next turn we get Beanstalk Giant, hold up Ether Gust. The turn after that, we get to Fave Wishes for some stuff. Pretty sad that we know if they have Recruiter, they just get Chain Whirler. Because I hate Goblin Chain Whirler, but so it goes. Okay. Third Snoop into Instigator. Are they going to sack 3 of these to put Chain Whirler into play? That would be an interesting thing to see. No. Okay, another Beanstalk Giant's excellent news. That means that next turn I get to Fae of Wishes for Storm's Wrath and a way to draw a bunch of cards, which is really, really, really strong. Might just be Shadow Spear because Beanstalk Shadow Spear kind of clowns this deck. So again, we're going to go to their draw step, see what if they're going to hit something off of Snoop they'll want to cast. Goblin Matron. I don't think I want them having a Goblin Matron today, because that can get Muxus, and I hate Muxus. We'll just Gust the Snoop. They can sack it if they don't want it going back on top of their deck, or they can just put it on the bottom. They could, of course, cast Muxus this turn. It's possible I'm just supposed to stop them from casting Muxus at all costs by just like holding up that Ether Gust. I may be too value-oriented here, since it's quite plausible they have a Muxus in hand with how they've been playing. But unless their Muxus happens to hit Goblin Chieftain... Okay, Krenko. Krenko's fine. They can't put Chieftain to play right now. Okay, good. So we should be in really good shape here. Bone Crusher Giant certainly helps as well. What am I getting? Definitely Storm's Wrath. And... maybe it's just Escape the Wilds over Shadow Spear here. I feel like... Okay, they're done. Cool. So, no Muxus, no problem. I saw some of the Goblin lists that people were posting. I think this was like just after Jumpstart came out, so before people were actually playing Goblins in real life, but a lot of lists people were posting legit had like 1 Muxus. I'm like, that's insane. Just insane. Okay, so against this deck, I think I kind of... Borrower has often been kind of unimpressive. I think I cut 1 Borrower and go for 1 copy of Whirlwind Denial, just because countering Muxus is such a big deal. And even like countering like Recruiter, like often their first 3 turns are not that impressive, especially if you have a Bone Crusher Giant to stomp a Chieftain or something like that. And just like 1-for-1 counter magic actually seems really good against them. We'll see though, that might be wrong. Kevlar, if their top card was Krenko. Ah, yes, that is true. That is true. That's worth considering. Yeah, 5 lands, 1 Lovestruck Beast does not seem good enough. This hand is much better. Keep that, and I'm going to dump... Yeah, on the draw, I'll dump the Forest. It's tricky because I have Escape the Wilds, and keeping lands is really nice, but 2 1/1s can go a long way against Goblins. Oh yeah, Muxus is extremely Winota adjacent. No argument there. Oof. Alright, getting really punished for putting back that Forest, which... Honestly, I mean, it's hard to tell, right? But these could just be lands, and I'd feel great about putting back the Forest. I do think you need Escape the Wilds to reliably beat Goblins in the long game. So I'm not unhappy to have, kept 3 of these in the deck. Hinterland Harbor is a really good draw. If they have a Krenko, I'm in a lot of trouble, notably. I mean, I can stomp the Chieftain in response, of course, but that's not going to stop them from a Krenko available on the next turn. Okay, Goblin Matron I will allow. They might search for something they wouldn't search for if they knew I had Double Stomp. I have a feeling this is going to be Muxus. I'm going to die next turn, but so it goes. Just another Goblin Chieftain. Alright, that's fine, actually. And Fanatical Firebrand coming in. Alright, so now I'm just going to let my opponent do a bunch of attacking, and then pick off some of their goblins. Sweet. Okay, so then it's just going to be Stompy Stompy. Stomp you. What? Okay, that was way too early a scoop. I don't know what could have been in the opponent's hand, but yeah, that there's no way. That's a concession time. That was really short, huh? But I guess some people just don't like getting double stomped. GG, I suppose. All right, well, that was the last match. It's a little bit of a short one, but I'm very aware of how vulnerable I am to one more match syndrome. So, Tammy, any suggestions for who we might raid?
Mm-hmm.
Any suggestions for who we might raid? Also, chat, you're welcome to give suggestions for who's playing, and especially...
I guess you could raid Oliver. He said hello to you and was hello back.
I didn't even see that. I might have everybody muted right now.
You might have.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He also drew like 90% lands across the field.
I don't think so. He drew really well in game 1.
He
drew very well in game 1.
He drew very poorly, and then he drew so poorly that his bomb draws.
Perhaps. I think he also should have played Ambusher on his turn that 3rd game, but whatevs. Alright, well, we'll raid Oliver. It's like Oliver 2 MTG, right?
No.
Tiutangclan, right. Alright. But this is the 2nd stream in a row we're doing that, so next time we'll raid someone else. Alright, so we're going to go raid Oliver and say hello and everything. Be friendly. Enjoy the team Reclamation. And thanks for watching tonight. Okay, I had Chrome closed because I wanted to be extra sure that my computer was only using